Do you know about 4th Kirk Street here in Peterborough, Ontario? There's an old Victorian house on Kirk Street in Peterborough, Ontario. A beautiful red brick home, multiple apartments, and according to one former tenant, something inside that house didn't feel right. In the summer of 1996, a student rented a room in the upper apartment at 4 Kirk Street. Her friends had left Peterborough for the summer, but they wanted to keep their apartment for the following school year. Before leaving, one of them gave her a warning. She told her the house was haunted. She didn't believe her at first. There was nothing unusual. The first month was completely quiet, until one night a bat flew through an open window. The apartment had old windows with no screens, so after that, they decided to keep every window shut. But not long afterward, something strange appeared, a huge swarm of flies. They were covering the inside of every kitchen window. There were so many of them that they covered the bottom of the glass. The tenants couldn't figure out where they had come from. The windows had been kept shut. There was seemingly no way for that many flies to get inside, and that was only the beginning. About a week later, the tenant woke up alone in the house. Her roommate was at work. She went into the bathroom and started taking a shower. Then, boom. It sounded like the shelving in the bathroom had suddenly collapsed. She immediately pulled back the shower curtain, but nothing had moved. The shelves were still exactly where they had been. There was no explanation for the noise. She left the bathroom and went into the kitchen to eat breakfast. That's when she heard something else. A radio. It had suddenly turned on. At full volume, the sound was coming from the attic. The radio belonged to her roommate, who wasn't even home. She walked toward the attic stairs. At the bottom was a heavy wooden door. The door was normally pushed open against the hallway wall. Nobody used it. Nobody had any reason to close it. She reached the bottom stair, and as she lifted her foot to step onto it, the radio suddenly turned off. She decided to leave it alone, and eventually she left for her summer class. When she returned home early, the attic door was different. It was completely shut, not slightly closed, not resting against the wall, shut tightly, the same door that had always been left open, and as far as she knew, she was the only person who had been inside. That was enough. She called her roommate at work. Then she told her she was leaving. She packed her things and moved in with friends for the rest of the summer. She never went back, but the story didn't end there. When her friend returned to the apartment for the following school year, she apparently had her own experiences. She claimed that CDs sitting on top of her dresser would suddenly fly off. She would put them back, then they would fly off again. There was also another incident. Several roommates were sitting together watching television when they heard a voice that seemed to come from nowhere. It reportedly called out the name of the roommate who slept in the attic. And then there were the sightings. Some claimed to have seen strange white orbs inside the house. One night, the tenant's husband was standing in the bedroom. The hallway outside was dark. Above the bedroom doorway was a glass window. He was facing the doorway when he suddenly saw something. A small white ball of light. It appeared to zip past the doorway. Then it stopped. It lingered there for a moment, and then it zipped past again. There was no obvious explanation for what he saw, and to this day, the experiences remain part of the strange history associated with 4 Kirk Street in Peterborough. Maybe there was an explanation for everything: the flies, the unexplained noise, the radio, the attic door, the objects reportedly moving, the voice, and the strange light. But one thing makes the story especially unsettling. The person who originally rented the room didn't go looking for anything. She didn't believe the house was haunted. She simply moved in within a few months. She decided she didn't want to stay, because sometimes the scariest stories aren't the ones that begin with someone looking for something frightening. They're the ones where nothing was supposed to happen at all. If you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe, because you never know. The next creepy story I uncovered could be about your own hometown, or even your own home.